Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for September 23rd, 2013. First item on the agenda is the signing of the warrant.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I'll also approve that. That's unanimous. Next is the approval of the August 26th Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Move.
Well, actually, we can move to all three if the board's so inclined.
Motion, Mr. Chairman. 26th, 4th, and 9th.
26th, 4th, and 9th. Okay, that's unanimous. Next, we have citizen participation. Is anybody here to speak that wants to approach the Board of Selectmen who doesn't have an item on the agenda? Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I thought I'd introduce myself. I'm Attorney Warren Heller. I have a practice here in Milford. I'm joined tonight by Jennifer DePazzo Gilbert, who's an attorney with the office of Robert Allen, who has been the law firm representing Foxwoods, Massachusetts. I just wanted to indicate to the board that Jennifer and I had handed a letter to Mr. Villani this evening, the content of which basically says, "Dear Chairman Buckley and board members, please accept this letter as a formal request to your board to initiate the process to include a December 9th, 2013 special town meeting warrant, an article that would amend the Milford zoning bylaw to provide for resort casino development uses within the BP Business Park zoning district. Please see the attached. We ask that you remand this request to the planning board for public hearing and hopefully support for the requested changes. This is being requested in the event of a favorable outcome in the referendum vote on the proposed casino development. Feel free to contact me with any questions." Now, this was just a letter that we wanted you to have. We're not on the agenda tonight, so we know the board is not able to act on this. What we would do is we would like to be placed on the October 7th agenda so that the matter can formally be voted upon, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that night.
Okay.
And the article, as it's proposed, is being submitted by both Foxwoods, and depending on what the board decides, we would ask that the board jointly sponsor the article in furtherance of the process as required by the host community agreement.
Okay, and that's specifically, I just want to make sure I understand it, it's to allow for a casino to be used within, casino use within that district, and also making amendments to the height requirements, because the height of the casino would be larger than otherwise permitted.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
And that's it, unless you have any other questions tonight.
No. I think that introduces the topic. I think this board was anticipating, obviously, this based on previous discussions, and we'd be happy to put it on the October 7th town meeting, and that's the request is for December 9th special town meeting to address that topic.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, gentlemen.
Good to see you.
Good evening.
What's this? Do you know? What's this? Do you know what that is? Oh, okay. All right. Yep. Very good. All right. Is there anyone else here that would like to address the board? If not, we'll go to the scheduled appointments. First one is for National Grid. Let's see, this is a continuation of a petition from Massachusetts Electric to install underground primary cable on Cemetery Street to provide new service to the Blair House. Please step forward. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Cutt. I work for National Grid. And we are here today to petition for the installation of underground primary on Cemetery Street, and also for the relocation of pole 2 approximately 20 feet east towards the property line.
Okay.
And this will be to provide new service to the Blair House facility.
All right. And you said that the request came for additional service needs for the Blair House?
Yeah, it's a new building that'll be under construction.
Okay. I'll go to the members of the board. I know there's additional information we had asked for and received. Hopefully the other members have received it. But why don't we first take up well, I'll tell you what, I'll take it in any order the board would like to discuss the topic. But are there questions, comments from the members of the board? Dean?
Mr. Chairman, no, it's just are there many abutters or people who are upset at this, or not really?
No, I haven't
No.
received any,
Okay,
no.
okay. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, I don't have any issues with the application itself. It's just, very disappointing that we basically have to hit National Grid over the head with a club to get any attention at all on these double pole issues. And the only leverage that we have is when an application like this comes forward, because other than that, we get totally ignored.
I
And,
understand.
I've been on the board now since 2001, and I'm getting pretty sick of it. Now, there has been some good progress, again, because we refused to grant this application, and all of a sudden, after, 2.5 years of nothingness, there's a major meeting between National Grid, the town administrator, Comcast. We have this action plan. I still have a question with the numbers that come forth. According to this, the double poles as of August 2012 are 131. But the email that we had from our fire department on August 1st, 2012 said there were 184 double poles. So, it's a mess. And it's got to stop. We shouldn't have to hold up development projects to get an answer from National Grid,
All right.
Comcast, and Verizon about the poles.
Yeah,
So you're here, I don't even know what your role is with the company.
I'm an engineer.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're not, involved in all of the management of these double pole issues, but, you're the only one from National Grid that shows up, so I'm gonna talk to you. And express my continued frustration with this situation. And also, as I look over this report, I'd like to ask our town administrator to address a couple of these bullet items. Number one, they've indicated that their survey results are the numbers as indicated. I'd like to have a comparison report from our fire department to verify the numbers. It says also here that upon request, Comcast will provide an action plan based upon its survey. I'm requesting. So let's see what the action plan is from Comcast. I don't know anything about these training rights to the fire department, when that's gonna happen. Presumably, this will allow the fire department to take down poles ourselves. And then also, they're gonna start the monthly progress reports to the fire department during the first or second week of each month. So I wanna see that first report that comes in.
Okay. I share Selectman Murray's frustrations. And what I see a few things. I see a variety of techniques used to eliminate the double poles. And I don't know what elimination means any longer. I see stub poles, I see poles hanging, I see them lashed together, sometimes with what looks like baling wire. So, frankly, I'm not sure what National Grid is doing.
Well, to be honest, I spoke with Bob Russell today, and just to get a little more insight as to what progress they've made with the double poles, and he did relay to me the information that they had the meeting. As far as double poles, there's different ways that you can see double poles. Some, they set poles alongside an existing pole, and then National Grid will transfer our facilities, and we'll cut the top of the pole. And then we normally wait until Verizon and cable TV transfer their facilities until we can go back and remove the remaining pole. Some instances, they may set the pole in the existing hole, and they'll cut the butt, kick the pole over, and then once we transfer, they'll leave a small section on the pole until Verizon and cable TV transfer. And then at that time, it's Verizon's last party off, they usually remove that small section of pole that's lashed, usually mid-span on top of the pole, so. I know Bob said there's some discrepancy in the number of poles, but they are trying to do an accurate survey ourselves and also trying to get that from the fire department.
So to date, to Attorney Murray's comment, to date, you'd not rationalized the inventory list that the fire department and the National Grid
That
have?
Bob Russell's been working on that, and I'm not involved directly, so I'm only relaying the information I received from him today.
Is he working on it because
Yes.
we
I believe-
requested it?
Yeah. I believe they've had meetings with Mr. Valani.
But these meetings are a result of our request. And to the point that was made earlier, it doesn't seem like people get motivated to do anything until this board requests information. Right now, there's a stub pole at the corner of Fruit Street and Main Street, for example, and it's about 2 feet tall. What's the purpose of that?
2 feet tall,
Yeah, a couple of feet.
sitting by itself, or is it lashed to another pole?
It's not lashed, it's adjacent to a pole. It's not lashed.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right. And I mention that because I see hanging poles where they're hanging up in the air. You're the owner of the poles, right, in terms of National Grid?
We are co-owners with Verizon, and Milford happens to be our pole maintenance area.
Okay.
So we're primarily responsible for the installation and then the removing of the butts once all the utilities are transferred.
And you manage those utilities?
We don't manage Verizon and cable TV, no.
You manage them in the sense that you contact them, let them know, notify them that a pole has been replaced,
That's correct.
and
And then we have to wait until, and a lot of time it goes through the ball and court or the pole maintenance program that we have,
okay.
when they report that they've been, their equipment's been transferred. And until that time, we're not really, I don't know whether we do a complete inventory all the time to see which poles. We usually wait to get notification they're transferred, and then we try to schedule, have the poles removed.
Notice the priority is listed in this report that's been provided to the Board of Selectmen as Main Street, Purchase Street. Can you talk to me a little bit about how
Right.
priorities are determined?
I have no knowledge on how they set those priorities. It might have come from the town, I'm not sure. Like I said, I have not been involved with any of these negotiations or discussions.
Okay.
In this case, Mr. Chairman, as a result of the meeting, a majority of the poles are on those 2 streets. So the theory was that if they could get to those 2 streets where there are a lot of poles in close proximity, they could knock off a huge chunk and show significant progress. So that's the
All right.
theory behind that.
I don't want to modify your priorities. The only thing I'd ask you to take back to your management team is that you look for priorities where they represent a safety issue, where line of sight is blocked at a particular intersection, and that you prioritize based on safety and not necessarily on a given street,
Okay,
sometimes high visibility.
right.
There are some double poles that are absolutely blocking line of sight at intersections that require cars to pull out further in order to see around them. I'd ask that those be prioritized first, because those are the ones that put people at risk.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, sir, I agree, wholeheartedly with my colleagues. Let me just ask you a question. This pole location is for the playhouse, right?
It's an existing pole that we're gonna be, using. We're relocating it closer to the property line.
If I could interject, it's for the electric service for our assisted living facility that we're going to be building shortly.
Okay, so right now, there aren't any patients there, right?
No,
Okay. I guess
no,
we could-
it will be a brand-new facility that will be
So
serving.
what happened what would happen if the board, let's say, didn't take a vote on this tonight?
Then we'd have to resubmit and come to another hearing.
Yeah, because I would think that, besides all the work that has to be done, I would think as wintertime approaches, you probably can't do a lot of this stuff during the wintertime, right? As far as double poles, removing them, whatever the case has to be.
That shouldn't prevent us from doing double poles in winter.
Okay, because a long time ago, I remember one of the representatives says that said that it was a factor where they couldn't, on certain days go out and do things because of the weather and all that stuff.
Well, obviously, if it's inclement weather, we won't, but,
Well, not
I
even
mean,
that.
in the wintertime, we still operate year-round.
Yeah.
I know some towns have moratoriums as far as street opening permits or cutting roads or sidewalks during inclement or
That's
winter
accurate.
months.
Yeah, and, I don't think it's this board's position to put the Blair House
Thank you.
project or to slow that down.
Thank you.
And in fact, we would have had this discussion had the applicant shown up last meeting.
Understood.
So, for some reason,
the only reason I say
National
that-
Grid did not show up at the last meeting. I don't know
Mr.
why.
Chairman, the only reason I say that is it's a wonderful nursing home, and there, a lot of people from Milford are in that facility, and the only reason I say it, if there are no patients in it now, if we waited a couple of weeks, I mean, I don't notice Mr. Russell, but as the chairman said, I think it would be important, whether he cares or not, to let him know the sentiments of our board. Because, as Brian said, this has been going on for a long time. People come in, say all kinds of things, it's Verizon, it's this, it's that, and at the end of the day, there's no progress done, so, it's just something that has to be handled one way or the other. Now, how long has Mr. Russell been in this position?
He's been with the company for quite a few years, in this position, probably 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
and he deals with a lot of the communities.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was Mr. Russell who was working with the previous town administrator that promised to keep this on the radar screen
That's correct.
when it went silent. So,
I mean, I work in the engineering department, and I do new business, so that's what we design, and we go to the petitions for that. As far as the double poles, that's something that's out of our department that Bob Russell's been dealing with the local towns and the communities. But I can certainly pass that information along to him, which he's probably well aware of.
He should probably come to a meeting, too. Has he ever been before us, Mr. Chairman? Mr.
I
Russell?
don't remember if Mr. Russell
He
has.
could. If he was serious,
Be
he should come to a
invited
meeting.
next meeting, sure.
Yeah. He should talk for himself and say what's the story is. Because I tell you, if the chairman wants the motion, I'll make a motion, only because it's a nursing facility.
Yeah, and
Otherwise, I wouldn't make a motion.
And I would like to do it. This process will get harder and harder, and Mr. Russell's credibility will
I
certainly
understand.
be eroded over time if we continue to have the same discussions over and over again.
Okay.
I guess that's the best message I can send you back with. So I would like to entertain a motion
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
And that's a motion to approve for the Blair House?
to approve the Blair House.
Yeah, I'll
poll.
second that.
Okay.
Yeah, again, I have no desire to hold up the Blair House project. I feel bad that it's been held up as long as it has. But, as I'm going back through my file with contact with National Grid, unfortunately, there's not much. And I see, it ends at 2010, when I think at some point Mike Peterson left. And then all of a sudden, Milford starts sending letters July 2012, to Mr. Russell as well as Verizon. No response, a follow-up email, August 1st of 12. No response, another letter, September 11th, 2012. And finally, something comes in October of 2012, and at that point, there was talk of over 200 double poles. So, at this point, I mean, the report that we received, I'm pleased to have that, and, I'm certainly willing to allow Rick to work with these individuals and hold them to these bullet items that they have committed to. But in terms of the Blair House, yes, absolutely, let them go forward and do their job.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to relocate pole P2 Cemetery Street to a point 220 feet east of the center line intersection of Claflin and continuing approximately 20 feet in the easterly direction. We have a drawing here. We have a motion. We have a second. That's unanimous. Yeah, please
Good luck.
send that
Thank you,
information
guys.
along.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You move forward now, Jim.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
And bring back the
Thank you.
comments, huh?
Thank you. Next, we have Lycos Restaurant Pizzeria seeking to transfer their common victular license to Brunel's Pizzeria, a restaurant and pizzeria. This location is business, 55 Water Street in Milford. Hi there. If you would, just introduce yourself, your name.
I'm Marina Rocha,
Okay.
and I'm the one who's getting the business transferred into Brunel's.
Okay.
I don't know why Mr. Ronaldo isn't here, though, which is the owner of Lico's.
Yeah, and it's out of the ordinary not to have the applicant here, but let's go through the paperwork. Paperwork is for transfer of existing license, common vitular, to Brunel's Restaurant Pizzeria, 55 Water Street, which you represent, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You are the applicant,
Yes.
and you reside in Milford?
Yes.
All right. For the benefit of folks at home, the board has information, requests for comment from each of the appropriate department heads. Building commissioner shows this as a pre-existing non-conforming use. So in that regard, it complies. No handicapped accessibility exists for that building. Town planner, no change of actual use, so no additional concerns. There are some personal property taxes that the collector is indicating, and I'll go to that in a minute, are outstanding. Town treasurer has no objections, fire chief has no objections, police chief has no objections. And the Board of Health has given you an application and has yet, as of this date, not received feedback from you. Have you seen the Board of Health since?
Yeah, well, they told me, because I asked for the application when I came here, I asked the town clerks exactly who I needed to
Sure.
see. And they told me that I could do that once I came here to the meeting.
Oh,
So,
after, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And according to the tax collector, that property owner, and you're a renter, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that property owner still owes approximately $61 in first quarter, has a balance due. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go to the board members to see what questions exist, and then we'll go from there. Dean?
Yeah, Miss Rocca, right? So it's gonna be your business operating there?
Yes.
Okay. Have you done this before?
I was the one who was managing the restaurant for Mr. Gomez, so I'm simply continuing what I was already doing.
Okay. And it says here, days, hours of operation, Sunday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m.?
Yeah, well, Sunday we actually close at 6, but my father decided to just leave that open in case we decide to change that.
Okay, I think I'm just trying to read what it says here.
Okay.
Is that what it says, 5?
5 to
Yeah.
10? 5 a.m. to 10 p.m.?
And then Friday and Saturday, 5 to 11 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay, that's all, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Brian?
Yeah, thank you. And are you buying this business from Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Okay. And Eva's Pizzeria, was that there prior to Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Okay. You're gonna have to make some sort of arrangement or information with the tax collector's office, because for some reason Eva's Pizzeria is still showing up under personal property taxes. That's taxes on the equipment and fixtures inside the premises, so it's a small amount. But, you know, what I would do is I would make the transfer of this subject to payment of that, just to get it off the town's books. And when you go through your purchase with Mr. Gomes, you should get a credit for this amount of money,
Okay.
okay? But going forward, I think you need to touch base with the tax collector's office and the assessor's office to do whatever needs to be done to get Eva's Pizzeria off the list, or else this personal property tax will keep generating every year,
Okay.
okay? But it's a very small amount, but, you know, I think for the town's books, it'd be nice if we could just kind of get rid of it. And we have a purchase and sale with the prior owner, you know, you can make a very small adjustment in the purchase price for that.
Mhm.
Other than that, I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, man.
Oh, wait a minute.
Hold on, I just
Yeah,
want
have a
to,
seat.
I want to review something. I want to make sure, what's the signature on the back of this request for transfer? I want to at least make sure we have,
Ronaldo Gomes,
is that Ronaldo Gomes?
Yes.
okay, he's transferring to.
So we have his signature making the request, that's what I was looking for. Okay, I'll accept a motion now. Okay, the motion is to accept the request for a common vitular transfer to,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to amend it to make it subject to cleaning up the personal property taxes of the $61.
Okay, to Brunel's Restaurant and Pizzeria, to the hours listed in the license application, and that's subject to payment of personal property taxes. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a motion, a second, and that's unanimous. Good luck.
Good luck.
Next, we have a request for Gourmet Pizza and Grill Common Victular License. Someone here to represent the applicant?
Yes.
If you would, introduce yourself.
Hi. My name is Bethany Moslin. I'm the wife of Eric Moslin, who is the proprietor of Gourmet Pizza and Grill.
Okay.
And we've been subletting the restaurant for some time now, and we just recently purchased it
Okay.
3 weeks ago. I was under the impression, I should have applied for this, but I was under the impression that she was going to apply for it. And when I called about it, she told me that she never had to do it when she took over, so she didn't think she had to do it for me. So that's where I am, and that's where I was left at this point.
Okay.
So I am applying for the license at this time.
And this is a transfer of an existing license, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's not checked on the thing. Now, I would expect it to be...
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, no,
It's
it's
not?
actually, it's not.
It's
Okay.
not?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're in here getting your own because she's not transferring,
She's not.
as I understand it.
Oh.
We-
So we're going
Well,
to
the
have...
liquor, I know she's still in ownership of the liquor license portion of it as well. She still holds the liquor license for that establishment.
Who is she?
Lisa Wasserman?
Okay. So is this a transaction? Are you buying the business?
I did, 3 weeks ago.
You already bought the business
I
without
already bought the
approval of the
business.
licenses?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No,
I'm just
no.
trying
I'm
to
sorry, too. I really am.
get the sense as to what happened on this.
I don't,
So,
That's
ma'am,
not
what
good.
did you do? You called our office and then our
I
office told
came
you?
down because I was concerned. I wasn't hearing anything from her and about this, and I knew we purchased it, and it's not my first time doing this, and I knew that I had to apply for a license. And I thought she was going to apply for the transfer, and then I would take over at that point, but that's not the way it happened, and here I am now, and I have a business and that I've been operating for subletting under her license since January, but only recently purchased it 2.5 weeks ago.
You've been subletting?
Subletting the business.
The liquor license, too?
No, I
Oh.
haven't, I did not use the liquor license. I did not want the liquor license at the time, no. She never used the liquor license as well at that establishment. It's never been used.
So this is a request for a second common vitular at the same address.
If that's what it would be, I'm not sure what I would be upon.
I don't know if anything precludes us from doing that. Jerry, maybe you could help.
Bring the background.
Yeah.
Comes outside.
There's, let's see, if I can go over the history. The business you've purchased is from whom?
Lisa Wasserman?
Okay. Now looking to do business as Gourmet Pizza and Grill of Milford at that location. You're applying for a common vitular where there's no transfer, Jerry.
So there's a license outstanding at the site now,
Yes.
Yes.
liquor and common victular.
Yes,
And she's looking to bring in the common victular without the liquor.
without a transfer.
Without, well, right, she's just, it's a new license.
It's a new license.
So your issue, your thought process relates to what's the status of the liquor license.
Yeah, that's
She-
sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can issue a
Exactly.
new common victual there. You're not gonna be able to renew that liquor license there. So come the time for liquor license renewal, you will not be able to renew it.
Well, we've not been precluded from doing that in the past. We've issued them to gynecologist's office when the business left, and they had what in essence was a pocket license, right?
Yeah, you've allowed pocket licenses. Typically, when you've allowed pocket licenses, and again, that's become a tradition in this town, you haven't gone after licensees who stopped operating.
Right.
But they've had a premises. So this one sounds like we won't have a premises come January 1st.
Not
So-
necessarily.
Well,
I,
but-
And I brought up that issue before.
Well, but again, if you authorize person X to operate a common victuals license on this site where now a person Y has a common victual and a liquor license, come time to renew, person Y isn't gonna have a site, so you're not gonna be able to renew that. Where all the pocket licenses that I've been aware of in the past have, person stopped operating, but they still have a location for it.
Yeah, that didn't happen at Scioli's up at the top of the hill, West Street.
You know,
We
I'm not aware
reissued
of
the license with with the address of a doctor's office, essentially.
Well, hopefully the person who has the liquor license will
Use it.
either, maybe they don't care and they want it to be, they intend it to fall back to the town.
Okay.
Or they'll come in for a transfer.
But nothing precludes us from issuing a second common victual license to that address.
Common victual for that is perfectly fine.
Okay, that's what I wanted to check with
I
you.
have a question.
Please.
The liquor license initially, when we went into an agreement of subletting, we did not want the liquor license. So she basically said to us, well, that's a good thing because I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna try to sell it. I says, well, knowing that I've been in business 8 other times, knowing that you cannot technically sell a liquor license, it needs to be attached to a business. I knew that, and at the time, I wanted to change the name because the place has a very, very bad reputation. So I basically asked her about the liquor license. She said no. So, okay. She says, you can change the name if you want. Well, when she found out that she could not sell the liquor license, she tried, I don't know who she talked to, but she found out she couldn't sell the liquor license, like outright. She came back and told me I couldn't change the name. So I've been operating now with that name, trying to get over the hump.
Yeah,
It's-
whatever
it-
arrangement you have
Right.
with the
But
current owner.
now, I spoke with her, and I have talked to her, and she said that come time December,
Yeah.
that she would possibly just transfer the license to me, because she doesn't want, what will happen at that time if we're gonna work it out and she's gonna transfer the license to me?
Nothing precludes you from buying her business and making the transfer subject to approval of the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, but I bought the business.
Ma'am, do you have a,
Same thing?
did you have a lawyer?
Yeah.
Did someone represent you during this?
No.
I think that's
That's
part of
pretty
why you're
evident.
here,
That's pretty
with
evident.
these questions.
But it's the person who has the license right now who will come forward with an application for a transfer.
For
if
transfer,
that were to
okay.
happen. It's not you, that person.
That would be that
And
person.
If they do, if you reach an agreement with that other person and
Uh-huh.
together come in for a transfer, then it'll be
Okay.
simply an issue for the board.
Okay.
If nothing else happens come December 31st, from what I'm hearing, the board is likely not to renew it. It'll become available to anybody who wants to apply for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, but we may or may not. But let's handle what we have in front of us. And is there any other questions for the issuance of the common vitular for Brunel's? I'm sorry,
No.
let me get it right.
Gourmet pizza.
Gourmet Pizza, thank you. That was
You're
the last
welcome.
applicant. Gourmet Pizza and Grill at 196 East Main Street.
Ma'am, what is that next to 196?
It's right on the side of the Mandarin.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay. So, Chair, it would be okay for the common victular then, right?
Nothing wrong with you approving a common victual for that location, no.
Okay, I'll make a motion for that.
Yeah, I'd only do the same thing we did last time and amend it to
Taxes.
include cleaning up these 2 small personal property taxes.
What, there are property tax, personal property taxes, as of what are the dates?
There are, balance due from FY13, which is $118.62,
Okay,
and a balance due of FY14 of $30.69.
so, what, FY fourteen is is the upcoming year.
Is the current
So
year
you're
we're
in
in.
right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So the 13th would be prior year.
Past due.
The one that ended in June.
That ended June 30th, yeah.
June 30th, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion, we have an amended motion. Are you okay with the amendment? Okay, so with that, I'll,
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
we have a motion and a second. I'll also approve, and that's unanimous.
Good luck. I wish you the best
Very much.
trying
I'm
to.
sorry for the confusion.
No, no,
Next
no.
I
time,
really am.
it may be worthwhile as you buy businesses to purchase businesses and get into the complexity of the type of things that you're going through now, that you have counsel. It's
I
probably a
know,
good
I know,
idea.
but it was,
And it's not your fault, and we're very thankful that you're cleaning up a messy
well,
situation
I want
in
to,
the town.
because I don't work that way, you
No,
know.
I understand. So,
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
we wish you the best.
Thanks.
Good luck, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Next item on the agenda is Aldo Chaky, Chairman of the Woodland School Building Committee.
Thank you.
And that's,
You guys looking for a pizza license, too?
I can go for a pizza.
Yeah, I know, really. They come in all the time with these transfers. We never get samples.
Robert, Patrick, no one ever brings anything in. They always say next time, you know?
We never get a sample, you know? Jeez.
okay, so,
That should be a requirement moving forward.
It really should. I think we're gonna have to put that in the
Patrick,
bylaws.
especially when you want something, right?
Aldo, if you'd like to introduce the folks that, who we know, but obviously folks at home might not.
Very well, Mr. Chairman. To my right is the Superintendent of Schools, Bob Tremblay, and Pat Holland, his former chairman of the school committee. They're representative on the building committee.
Okay.
So,
Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having
at your request, Mr. Chairman, we're here this evening to give you an update as to where we are with this process.
Yeah, and let me just introduce that. First of all, welcome you as well, Aldo. You have a long history with the town, so I won't go through all the positions, but to mention that former school committee member, former selectman, former superintendent of schools, and you also assisted the Milford school system as assistant superintendent, as an interim basis. We appreciate that. And as chairman of the building committee, what I was looking for, try to get an update from you as to where the status was. I know there have been a lot of meetings with the school building assistance program, and just if we could come up to speed on that, that would be helpful.
Very well, Mr. Chairman, gentlemen. What I'd like to do, very briefly, since this is our first time before you with this process, is that your folks that are watching at home may not be familiar with what it took for us to get to this point in time. So I'd ask the superintendent to give you a brief, operative word being brief, explanation of how we got to this particular point in time with regards to the school project.
Okay.
So over the next 4 hours, I'd like to document 23 years of history. No, very briefly, about 23 years ago, actually, though, we did start this process of looking at what needed to be done in Milford schools. And the Woodland project that we're here to talk about tonight is the capstone project there, starting back really with the Long Range Educational Planning Committee, of which I served on. At the time, Bill, you were co-chairing that with Representative Fernandez,
Right.
before he was a representative, and a number of us in the district. Aldo, I think you served on that group as well, to put forward the best plan for the Milford schools, given the enrollment projections. Now, interestingly enough, the projections has only been about 100 or so either way over a 20-year span, but the NESDEC summary that came out in 2005 got us to focus on what would need to happen in the Milford schools in order to accommodate overcrowding, which we're seeing at Woodland School, and to get us to the point where we are today. So this plan has been vetted a number of times, mostly with the statements of interest. When we knew that we were going forward with a 3-5 school, school committees every year for a period of 4 or 5 years submitted a statement of interest, which they signed off on. As you know, all of 3 of you, I'm sure I've chased you down for your signatures as well on the statement of interest. And then finally, we were invited into the capital pipeline, from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, and that's a significant milestone here. They came out a couple of years back and did a senior study of Woodland School, and because Milford had taken such good care of the Woodland Elementary School, it felt as though this district would be a viable district to give money to, or reimbursement to support a new structure. So having done renovations to Memorial School, Brookside School most recently, but also Stacy Middle School, renovations to Middle School East, Milford High School, this is the final piece of the puzzle to bring our school into a configuration where we have 2 K-2 schools feeding into now a 3-5 intermediate elementary school, if you will, to a traditional 6-8 middle school, which is really now parsed with a 5-7 model going into an 8th grade, almost a junior-senior high school model to a 9-12 high school. So it effectively reduces transitions for students in the district, but more importantly, it addresses the overcrowding issue, which we saw coming some years back at Woodland School. Now class size is pretty much 25, 26 across the board, and if we had money to add teachers to the equation, there's no place to put them. So we have a dire need there. The state's recognized that. Certainly this committee's recognized it. Unfortunately, the town has recognized it as well. So that's where we are in terms of how we got from 1990 to today in terms of this project. So I'm happy to take questions on that part of the scope. Hope it was brief enough.
Is that how long ago the subcommittee finished their work?
Yeah, well, in 1990, it began through, town meetings, things that happened along the way, but the group coming together was in like 2003.
Oh, good.
We began to do that
I was
work.
going to say.
Yeah. I didn't just age you another 20 years.
Yeah, good. And you know what shouldn't be lost in the discussion is Dino is also the board's representative on this building committee too, and so is Rick. Rick participates in that
That's
as
right.
well. So, okay, all right. Go ahead.
So I'll turn it over to Aldo.
Sure. When the town meeting approved the feasibility study, and when the building committee was formed, we began working. It's been about 8 or 9 months, and the committee meets on a monthly basis. As the superintendent mentioned, as recently as the 11th of September, we appeared before MSBA.
SBA is whom? I'm sorry.
Massachusetts School Building Authority, excuse me. And they're the folks that decide whether or not you have a program that should be addressed or you don't. And they do vet it. I mean, we talked about vetting this process, and they vetted it. They've been on this thing for the better part of the year. And most recently, on the 11th, they reviewed the initial schematic designs. They informed us of a few items, actually 10, that they felt we needed to reconsider, we needed to look at again. Very simple things, but things that made sense. And that was done by the HMFH, is our architectural group, and they did look at what was suggested by MSBA on a conference call this past, the 17th.
That's correct.
Last week. On a conference call with MSBA, they told us that everything had been answered to their satisfaction at this point until we get a formal approval, which should occur on October 2. We've been invited to a meeting in Boston on October 2nd, where they will formally approve our project. From there, we'll move forward with more design work. And ultimately, we're looking to have the process put together sometime late November, the first part of December, approve it and get it to MSBA, after which we will then have 120 days to bring this before the voters of the town of Milford through the town meeting and seek funding for the project. So from the time, end of November, first part of December, when our formal presentation goes to Boston, we'll have 120 days in which to get the town's approval to move forward. With that said, once we had the committee formed, this is a whole new process, actually. And it's been about 2 years that the state's been using this process.
Yeah.
And initially, because I'm somewhat old school, projects that I've done have been the older way we did them, and I always thought that was the best way to do them. But this is a great process. It forces you to be very introspective with regards to what you're doing. They're looking over your shoulder constantly. They're ensuring you're trying to get as much as you can get for the dollar you're spending. And if they don't particularly think what you're doing is what you should be doing, they don't hesitate to tell you and send you back. So it really forces us to look at how we're going to spend the town's money and see how much we can get for the dollars that we're going to put in. I think it's a great process. The first thing we did was we hired a project manager that has been assisting us, directing us, and quite honestly has been the value of these people are just unbelievable because they've done this before. We aren't making mistakes, and you tend to make mistakes when you push things, but these folks, they guide us, and they've guided us beautifully. The second one, we had a schematic design group, was HMFH Architects. They were selected because of their experience in public school construction. They have a great wealth of experience in public school construction. We visited 3 of their facilities in Concord, New Hampshire, that they had put together just to see what their work looked like, and we were very much impressed with what they did. So they are our design people, and we're now entered a construction management stage. So we're getting close to putting all of the pieces together in this process. Now, one of the things that I've been told and encouraged to do, and we know that we need to look at everything on this project. We're about to enter into the phase where we do some engineering so we can get some value for what we're spending. MSBA requires us to value engineer the project. If we suggested something was done for $10 and it can get done for $5, then they expect us to do it for $5 and not the $10. So we're in the process now of looking at how we can maximize the dollar but minimize the number of dollars that go into the project and get exactly what we want. Hopefully that's going to happen sooner rather than later. And for your edification, we meet at least twice a month. Once formally with the members of the building committee, and then we have a working group which has an opportunity to review what's coming before the full board, full building committee at the regular meeting, generally the third Wednesday of the month, so that we have an idea of what's going to be out there. And it's very helpful because if we don't want to have surprises dropped on our laps and say we can't do that, or, suddenly we lose a whole month's worth of meetings. So it's been a very, very good process, and I'm very impressed with the people that we have brought aboard to assist us, and I'm very impressed with the folks on the building committee that are very faithful. They attend faithfully, and they take stands, and there is a good deal of discussion that goes on. And I think we have a good group that's been put together by the selectmen, the moderator, and some of the elected officials in the town have appointed people. So we've got a good group of people. There are 15 of us that work on this, and I think we're moving ahead. We're very cost conscious. We know full well that we've got to come in with something the town can handle. I mean, you'd like to say we can do whatever it is we want to do, but we're not. We're very realistic. We sat with the finance committee and we discussed it. And they emphasized to us that they expect us to be very cost conscious. Not that we weren't going to be, but everybody is kind of lined up in a straight line about money.
And you have a
expenses.
representative from the FinCom?
You're looking at him.
Okay,
Yeah.
you,
And
okay.
Right.
I'm their representative.
As chair
too.
and
Yes.
representative of FinCom? Okay.
And we've had occasion to meet with the budget committee from the FinCom as well as the chairman. And the chairman of the FinCom has emphasized on more than one occasion that we need to look at the dollars that are going to go before the town meeting.
Okay.
And we need to make numbers that the town can afford to pay.
Beyond the obvious support that you're receiving from the Board of Selectmen, the second reason I wanted to bring you in to see if there was any help needed I know I'm getting an awful lot of documentation and emails that come from the school building assistance program, typically when they're looking for signatures. I know we move those signatures through, but, okay. Any help needed by your committee?
Well, you folks have already been helpful in, we requested some months ago for the waiver of building permits for this, so you folks came, you sent us the waiver, so we're looking good there. We've had occasion, and we will continue to meet, where we will have the, once we get final plans, there were 4 options available to us. You may well be aware of this. One option was to renovate the existing structure, top to bottom. That wasn't going to work in the sense that we had no place to house the youngsters that are there. Plus, the footprint was too small. We then considered a addition and a renovation in proximity. They'd be connected by a common area. What would happen is the new construction would go forward. When that was completed, we'd move the youngsters from the older building into the newer building and then renovate the older building. Very time-consuming. It was going to add a good deal more cost to the project. The renovations and the renovation addition was about 4 to 5% more expensive than to construct new. So we chose the new construction, and if you can visualize the Woodland site, it's at the back end where the soccer fields are. On that back end, that's where we're projecting the building to go. We've had to meet with Conservation, and we've gotten their approval on some movement of the area there. Right now, we're kind of up in the air with the traffic pattern, believe it or not. The building itself is fine. It's a 3-story projected structure. We're looking for we're looking not to have a flat roof. We want a pitched roof, and we figure we can do that. But right now, the big stumbling block is how we're going to move the traffic around the property. Because one of the things we need to be concerned about is the safety of the youngsters. We want no children to cross between buses. We don't want anyone to be crossing in the road when the potential for private vehicles are moving. So our people are now, when I say our people, I'm talking about the architects, are working on a design that's going to incorporate everything we've asked them to incorporate. So that's where we're at now. In the immediate future, we're going to have highway in. You're well aware that fire has to become involved in all of this. We've had a meeting early on with the fire department, with the police department, with your building department, the Board of Health. We're in this room, as a matter of fact, and we received input from them. We told them what we want to do, but as we move forward, they become more directly involved in the decision-making process, and they will be part and parcel of it. So we're getting there, and we're going to be there sooner rather than later. And as I mentioned to you, Mr. Chairman, we're probably going to look to come to a town meeting in February, once we get this project put together, and we'll be looking for the town's approval at that point in time.
All right, and assuming that the School Building Assistance Program provides approval on the 2nd of October.
Correct.
And for the sake of discussion, could you just rough approximation of timeline, shovel in the ground type projection?
Spring of next year, assuming we meet all
the hurdles.
Exactly. All the time slots are met. We would hope to be doing something. Remember, we're going to, if the plan were to be approved, we're going to be constructing on the site while the youngsters are still in the building.
Right.
And that gets a little ticklish.
Sure.
Because you need to divide and you need to separate the two areas.
Entrances.
We still have to be very cognizant of the safety issues with our youngsters. So that is going to be what has to be set up. So what we will do is hope to get some groundwork done once the children leave for the summer, get our initial groupings going, get the entire structure, rather the entire site set up so that we can divide safely the existing structure, still provide parents with an opportunity to come in with their children, still provide the opportunity for buses to get on the site, yet do all of our construction away from it and keep all of the people involved with the construction as far away from the school and the school children as possible.
Okay. Is that it? I didn't know if you had more.
I
that you
could probably
wanted to
go
cover.
on for another hour and
Could.
a half, but I'm sure you
But what I'll
won't.
do is I'll go to the board members and see, Dean, I can't imagine you having many questions because
No,
you're in
Mr. Chairman,
attendance.
I think if you've said, we've been very fortunate to have a person like Aldo with the wealth of experience, knowledge, former superintendent, member of FinCom, and the committee. I know when Patrick started as the chairman of the school committee over a year ago, when he would say things, he would always say that we do the best we can at the best possible price. And I think that the educational needs have to meet with the finances, the best possible avenue for the taxpayer. It's very costly, very difficult site, but the committee's done a wonderful job. And I think, Aldo, Patrick, we're looking at possibly a 59% reimbursement from the state.
Well, we qualify for 59.25%. That presumes that you come in with a square foot cost of $275 a square foot. That's what they allow. That's what the state allows. There have not been any projects in the Commonwealth that have come in at less than $330 a square foot. So the simple math says, yes, 50-50 if you come in at 275, but something less than that. Realistically, I would say between 50 and 55% is probably what we're going to look at. I don't want to walk out of here with anyone thinking that 60% or 59% is like, we'd have to really catch lightning in the bottle in order for that to occur. So we're talking between 50 and 55%.
And we've been talking about this for the past 10 years, planning what number could the town support with the FinCom. And I believe also, we looked at, 4 or 5 other properties to see if it would be cheaper. And the case was those particular properties would probably cost more because of traffic and all that busing. So I think the committee's done a real good job, and sometimes we have some great discussions over a few $1,000s when you look at the whole picture, but I think that's important. I think, as you said, Aldo, that's what the state wants us to do now, to look at everything. So, great job from everybody involved, and hopefully you can resolve some of those major issues, and then we can go from there. But we all knew that it would be very difficult, very complex, and, expensive in today's terms as far as money's concerned. But hopefully with the reimbursement and the support of selectmen, Board of Selectmen and the FinCom, we can, break ground in the spring.
Okay. Brian? Any
Yeah,
comments,
no,
questions?
just congratulations on a lot of hard work. This is clearly a difficult project. It's almost as though you're trying to fit that square peg into the round hole. But, since the decision was made to go forward, with that location, you folks have, really tackled the problems that have been presented and moving right along. So you've indicated that you think you're going to be getting an approval date sometime in October, then go the 120 days. Is that how you come up with the February?
They will formally tell us to move to the next level.
Okay.
Which is to put your project formally together. Hopefully, we'll have that ready to go by the end of November, first part of December, after which it'll go to Boston again.
Yeah.
After which we'll have 120 days in which to go to the town meeting and get municipal approval.
Okay, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. So what's the trigger for that 120 days?
Our formal submission to the Department of Ed, which would probably come the end of November, first part of December. Then the 120 days kicks in.
They won't let us put together a final and complete package until they've approved what the broad strokes of that package will be.
Okay.
So on October 2nd, they're going to say, yes, what you have in place makes sense, and we think that once you work these numbers up, it's something that we will approve.
Okay.
So we have that approval, we put those numbers together, we go back in December, they say yes, they stamp it, and now the 120 starts to total.
Clock starts.
Okay, all right. And so you figure that it makes the most sense to have a town meeting sometime in February?
At this point in time, yes, assuming we get to where we want to go the first part of December.
Right, no, I understand, you can always have,
Yeah.
hiccups along the line, but that's what
Exactly.
you're kind of mapping out at this point. Yeah, well, no, hey, good luck.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a tough project, there's no
One thing,
question
Mr.
about it.
Chairman, if I may?
Yes, please.
I mean, we three appreciate the kind words that have come from the board. There are two other members here, so we five appreciate it. But you need to know that there are 15 of us on that, and every one of them works hard. They're there, we've got people with a lot of expertise, and people that are not afraid to speak up. So, we have 15 hard-working people, hard-charging people, and they're gonna look out for the town's best interest. But we do certainly appreciate your support.
I'm sure with your leadership, they will and have. All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, and it looks
Good
like
luck.
you've made some great progress.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Continue charging on.
Appreciate your continued
Thank you
support.
very much.
Thanks.
Okay,
Have a good night. Yeah.
bring some back. Next item on the agenda is application for a Class 2 license for Hillview Equipment Corporation, or Leasing, Inc. Attorney Pettinari,
Good evening, gentlemen.
how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Bet I'll let you start, please.
David Pine is the principal of Hillview. He's also the principal of Corner Brook LLC, the owner of the real estate up on the hill in the industrial park. The focus of this license, the licensed premises would be 11 Commercial Way. It's about 8.5 acres, and it's the premises on which Hillview does its primary business, which is the rental, sales, and service of heavy construction equipment. About 6 months ago, David started noticing that when he would be participating in auctions with online providers, he would be asked to register, and part of the registration process, they were requiring a license. When he inquired, he was told that he needed to secure a vehicular sales license from his municipality for continued eligibility in these auction sites. So the long and the short of it is, over the last month, we've applied for and received a special permit from the zoning board, which is necessary as a prerequisite to come before this board. And we've requested a site plan waiver from the planning board on these premises, and tonight we're here before this board to ask your permission in granting a Class 2 license for the offering for sale of one vehicle on the subject premises. He's got no intention to change the manner or intensity of the business that he runs there, but he just needs to be able to offer these purveyors of heavy equipment the fact that he has a license. The premises are obviously industrial in character. The premises are suitable for this kind of use, and if you take a look at the plan which accompanied the license application, it's one small parking space in the front of the building, and there's more than adequate parking. So that's the long and the short of it. He'd be here with us tonight, but I think practice ran long, and he's not able to come, but that's the story.
Ernie, as is customary, what I'd like to do is read from the various department heads that we've received feedback on. The building commissioners indicated that this zone is allowable use. Building and restrooms are handicapped accessible. Town planner indicates that it's okay from that perspective, that ZBA, as Attorney Pettinari had represented, ZBA granted special permit on 9/12, waiver of a site plan pending planning board. Tax collector indicated there were no outstanding taxes. Town treasurer, no outstanding liens. Fire department, no objections. Police department, no objections. Why don't we go to the board members and see if they have any questions? Dean?
No, the only question, Aaron, the only thing, the motion would be contingent upon with the 5 conditions as set forth by the zoning board, right?
I'm not aware of those conditions, I'm sorry.
Okay, it talks about the proposed use, issuance of a special permit will be permit the display and sales of used motor vehicles on the site as ancillary to the petitioner's business. Subject property is 8.3.5 acres.
Okay.
Applicant shall have a property of 2-story metal building, other facilities. And it talks about the applicant's suppliers requiring the license, as you stated.
And the condition that I'm aware of is that it's one, and I made a representation, there were a couple of abutters there, they just wanted to make sure that, as you've heard before, it's not gonna become a used car lot. And the answer to that is no, it's one car, we're looking for one vehicle. And in point of fact, very, very unlikely that there will ever be a vehicle in that spot, but it's just to qualify for these things.
That's all, Bill.
Brian?
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions. It's always been a great business. I think we're very lucky to have them in Milford. We never have any problems, issues. They do a nice job. I was just gonna say, I mean, do you need to restrict it to one? Is it, I mean, I don't wanna do something that's gonna be restrictive.
We made the representation at the ZBA, and they put that in as part of their vote, so right now, that's perfectly acceptable.
Okay. Yeah, no, I have no problem.
So is there a
Motion,
motion to
Mr. Chairman.
grant this Class 2 license? There is a motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right, I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Coming back, aren't you?
We're seeing you, right?
We'll be back, huh? Go grab a pizza first.
Everybody else is.
Yeah.
Next, we have Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just an update on the town hall windows. The bids were opened for the repair and restoration. They were opened on September 18th, 2013. 2 bids, both within the appropriation, were received and are being reviewed. As you know, the scope of the project will include certain windows being repaired and restored on-site, and certain windows being repaired and restored off-site and then reinstalled. I hope to have an award of contract recommendation for the board at the next selectmen meeting on October 7th. All budgets under the jurisdiction of the board are on target for fiscal year 2014. And just an update on the technology task force. The task force has met again and has selected World Band of Milford to do a full IT assessment and inventory for both the town hall and the school system. I expect and hope to have the assessment completed within 30 to 45 days, hopefully closer to 30 days. The assessment will provide 3 separate reports, as explained prior: complete equipment inventory, analysis of a needs-based assessment, and then obviously a recommendation for both equipment replacement recycles and how to handle IT services. Hopefully, the goal is to set up an IT department so that we can go forward in that manner. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
All right, any questions or comments for the Town Administrator? Dean?
No, the only thing I'd like to ask Attorney Valani, Rick, could you check the youth center? They'll be having a couple of nice fundraisers in the next month. Just let's make sure that the handicap lift is accessible, if it's operational.
I will do that.
If it isn't, let's try to get it in use so that people can use it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Brian?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, I don't have any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Under old business, we have the posting, a proposed TGIF sign in town, on the town's right-of-way on Cedar Street. With Jerry here, I might as well go to Jerry. Jerry, when we met last, there was a question how it was that the board, without any subsequent review by zoning or anyone else, would approve a sign location, and it didn't seem to meet with at least past practice and anything I had been involved in, so I was wondering.
I think I gave you a memo.
Yeah.
I hope I remember what I said.
Yeah.
See if I say the same thing.
Go ahead.
I think I said it's sort of a separate requirement, because the board of selectmen are, as the owner, they have to approve the location. So you have to approve that. Separate from that, because it's an off-premises directional sign we're talking about, they also need approval from the zoning board of appeals. So they need both. Typically, you go to the owner's approval before you go to the zoning board. So if the selectmen approve it, then they go to the zoning board. If the selectmen disapprove it, then it goes nowhere.
And, you know, just for background, Jerry, this is actually the first time that I can recall in my 9 years, that somebody has looked to place signs for private businesses on public right-of-way and sought the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
There've been a few over the years. I'm not sure the most recent was, but there've been
Yeah, and I could be missing one. My memory is not what it used to be. But having said that, I just don't recall voting on this in the past. So that's why I wanted to go to you and get ZBA approval.
Again, it's possible it hasn't been one in 9 years, so,
Yeah.
but there have been several in my years here. The board has to approve the location, and the zoning board approves the sign.
Okay, and we have, for this particular sign and this particular size sign, we have recommendations from the town engineer and the police chief that it's okay from their standpoint, both in public safety and engineering. So what's the favor of the board?
Well, based on all that information and Jerry's explanation and memo, I'd make a motion to approve the request.
Proven, is the motion to approve and remand to the zoning board of approval?
Well, you're just approving the location. Now, before they can establish, they have to go to the.
Okay, I just don't want there to be confusion.
They'll file the application, go through that process.
Okay,
Yeah, seconded.
all right, that's unanimous. All right. Next is town administrator recommendation for town hall roofing and reshingling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, an invitation to bid was issued to reshingle the town hall roof. The bids were open and recorded. I presented a memo to you indicating that there were 4 bids. The low bid was from Bay State Contracting Company, LLC. The bid was $98,800. The bid package has been reviewed by Town Engineer Vonnie Reese. All bonds, our required bonds and certifications have been submitted, including the Division of Capital Asset Management update statement. All references reviewed were positive. Both Mr. Farrow, who is the design architect who reviewed the specs, and Ms. Reese recommend awarding the contract to Bay State. I, too, would respectfully request that you award the contract to Bay State Contracting Company, LLC. In fact, I have the contracts here tonight for you. I am told that if we can get these signed quickly, we have a meeting that can be scheduled on Thursday, and we're hoping to start the process in October and get this done before weather becomes an issue. I'm told, once started, it should be 2 to 3 weeks.
And I noticed that our architect has also provided a document indicating they reviewed the reputation and references for Bay State Contracting, found them to be acceptable with good, solid reputation.
That is correct.
So, having said that, I'll accept a motion to approve the town reshingling of, the reshingling of the town hall roof, awarding to Bay State Contracting Company, LLC, 38 Washington Street, North Pembroke, for the amount of $98,800.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
I will second it and also comment that when have we ever seen 3 out of 4 bids come in with the exact number?
Yeah.
That's something, that's something I've never seen.
Selectman Murray is referencing that all 3 other bids came in at $118,000. That's noteworthy. Okay, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
All right. We can sign later. Next, under new business, we have the Jane Galleran, I'm sorry, no, I've skipped a town meeting warrant. Town administrator provided a finalized version of the special town meeting warrant for October 21st. I know this is the board's first opportunity to review this, and over the course of the next couple of meetings, I would say, as customary, board members can bring up those items that they'd like to discuss and have the board review. Is there a motion or anything
Mr.
required for this particular?
I believe the board would need to sign and approve the final warrant.
Okay.
As I'm told, the town clerk needs to post copies on Monday, September 30th.
Okay.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Okay. Sorry about that. Almost skipped over your request.
That's okay. And, Mr. Chairman, we did add, I have a memo under old business with the letter to be mailed to the registered voters regarding the...
That's item E3 for the benefit of everybody here?
E4, actually, one that was added.
Okay, that's the warrant itself. Okay.
I provided a brief memo for you, and then the actual letter is right below it.
Okay, and it says attached is a letter proposed to be mailed to registered voters in town,
Yes.
providing them the day of the special election, also providing information they'll be voting on prior to the gaming commission. Yeah, this is new, so it came from you, Rick. Maybe you could provide a little more context for us.
Yes, basically, it's required under the Mass Gaming statute. The letter before you has been reviewed by, obviously, Town Council, our council hired and retained, and also approved by the Gaming Commission. Basically, the letter is required to provide the date of the special election, provide information to the voters that they will be voting prior to the Gaming Commission making a determination as to suitability of the applicants for the casino license. Also enclosed with the letter will be a copy of the ballot question, and as required, the summary of the host community agreement must also be attached. All expenses for this mailing will be borne by the developer, Foxwoods. So it's the next step in the process. As I understand it, it will come through the Board of Selectmen, signed by the town administrator.
Do we have their request in writing to call this election? My understanding, that's a requirement by legislation.
That's your last meeting.
Yeah.
The requirement in writing?
Yeah, we have set that, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the next step.
Okay.
Yeah. That was one of the votes taken, I believe, at the last meeting.
One of the votes taken was,
Set the special election date,
Okay.
which we did of November 19th.
okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I believe we took 4 votes, right, Jerry? 4 votes?
Three
They took
votes.
4, but that was one of the votes you
Yeah.
took, and they had the written request, they submitted to you at that time, in
Yep.
order to set the election.
Yeah, so the thing I'm struggling with right now, for the benefit of council and the town administrator and the board members, is we're all paging through this 4-page request here, having read it, or reading through it for the first time. For the record, this is complex discussions. We've gone a long way through this process, and for the benefit of this board, I'd prefer not to get documentation the same night that, in a packet, that we're asked to act on it. It's not helpful, and the best I can say is I've not read it, I'm not gonna read it right now, so.
Let's do it next meeting.
All right, let's do that.
Sure. Do it next meeting? There's no
Yeah,
rush.
there's nothing time-sensitive about this.
There's no
right?
rush on
Well,
this.
it may be somewhat time sensitive in terms of getting the mailing out. Again, that was, drafted by council, reviewed by me, and reviewed specifically by the Gaming Commission, so they've approved its content. Sure.
It's not till the 19th.
Director sent me out.
No rush.
So it's been reviewed by their council,
Yeah,
reviewed
it's
by your
been, not
council.
by their council, it's been drafted by Shesky and Froelich, reviewed by myself, and most importantly, reviewed by the Gaming Commission, who had to review it and approve it, and they have approved it. The mailing has to be done, that's obviously a lot of mailing involved. So that it's time sensitive, I mean, you don't meet again for 2 weeks. And again, there's not a lot of ability to change the content of it. The content is dictated essentially by the regulations, by the statute, and by the Gaming Commission. So I can't sit here and tell you that anything goes wrong if you don't do it tonight, but again, timing on all this is important, and it's important to get this out as quickly as we can to the voters. So I would rather see you do it tonight, but if you don't, we'll have to deal with that.
Well, I'm prepared to take a recess if we need to, so that the members are allowed the opportunity to read it, if that's what the board would like to do. If not, then we can take it up at the next meeting. I'll ask the board members how they'd like to approach it.
Well, when I came to the meeting at 6:30, 6:15, I was given a copy by Attorney Villani. I went over it. I think the most important part of this whole thing is the summary of the host agreement, which I think is most important, and that's the copy that we received last Friday, right, Jerry, with the, right?
Yeah,
Rick?
sometime.
Yeah, it was 4 or 5 page summary.
Yes, that's part of
Okay,
it.
but it
right.
wasn't last week, yeah,
Yes.
so I think that's the most important thing. I think the sooner the residents have that, the better. And I think that the other parts is just informing about the Tuesday, November 19th, what happens if it passes, if it doesn't pass, and also the actual article at the, on the election, on the question on a yes vote or no vote, so.
Okay.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You can take time to read it and all that. But the most important thing is, like I said, I think anyway, is the is the comprehensive summary of the host agreement. And I think, I'd like to see that in people's hands, sooner than later,
Okay, so would I, actually. I agree with you about getting it out as soon as reasonably possible. Brian?
I can, go either way. I mean, I have no problem holding off till the next meeting to reading it over as I'm looking at it quickly. It does seem to be basically a recitation of the regulations that are in place along with the vote. But, I'm certainly sensitive to your request that we just got it tonight, and we ought to have a chance to look at it, and we can do it next meeting.
Whatever your pleasure is, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Brian.
Yeah, so whatever you want to do is fine.
Let's bring it up at the October 7th meeting. Okay. Okay, that was off agenda, so.
Yes.
Under new business, we have a request from Dennis Mayetta for a food and entertainment fundraiser. Where's the location? I just want to make sure I
The
have.
youth center, I think, Bill.
Yes.
Okay, so it is at the youth center. Where is that?
Right here, see?
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's highlighted even. The Milford Youth Center. Food and entertainment fundraiser, October 19th, from 7 PM to 12 AM.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
All right. Next, we have a request from the Milford Boosters Club, specifically Joe Arcudi, to hold Oktoberfest and Beanbag Tournament, 12 PM to 8 PM at Rosenfeld Park, October 19th, and the request is for nonprofit one-day alcohol license.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
That's unanimous. Next, we have from the Milford Lions Club, a permit to obstruct application. We have
Motion.
a letter here. It's for Pennies for Sight, a toll road, October 12th, 2013, for the Milford Lions Club.
Motion.
All right, there's a motion.
Seconded.
That's unanimous.
No, yeah, this one.
Yeah, I was going to get back to that, yeah.
Yes, we also have a request from a citizen, Rick Morrell, requesting no parking signs on the intersections of Water and Lee Street. We also have communication from our town engineer that the request, Vonnie Reese, that the request was submitted to the town to install no parking signs from here to the corner, signs on both sides of Lee Street. She's recommending that we install no parking signs the entire west side of the street, and that's because of the difficulty and how narrow the road is, the difficulty to get down that road, 2 cars safely. Additionally, we have a communication from Police Chief Tom O'Laughlin that says he's in full agreement with the town engineer's request, and so that's both of them in approval.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
I also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Traffic aid request for a handicap sign on South Bow Street.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. School Department is requesting that we appoint school constables. And there's a list of people, not to read all the names, also their substitutes, so we can,
Motion,
one
Mr.
fell
Chairman.
swoop, approve
Motion
what's
is
been provided.
recommended.
Seconded.
All right, I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. I'll go back to the board members. Is there any other old business?
We have,
that the board members-
excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we have 2 add-ons there on 1 days that were submitted to you,
Okay.
F7 and
These are-
F8.
These are submissions that are not on the agenda as
Correct.
well.
Correct.
This is the Italian Votes Post 40 for Hayward Field, requesting one-day alcohol license for the Plains reunion, something that they
Motion,
hold
Mr.
every year.
Chairman. Yep.
Seconded.
Seconded, that's unanimous. Next, we have a permit to obstruct from the First Congregational Church, Milford. They want to conduct a 10K road race in an effort to overcome poverty. A hunger walk on Saturday, October 26, 2013, beginning and ending at Draper Park.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
Do we know, what's traditional with this type of request and permit to obstruct, especially when it's moving, it's a walk or a run, is that the police chief would typically have somebody review this and sign it, just to
I
instruct
think
the
it's on
group?
the bottom. I think it's on the bottom left.
Yeah, okay, per chief.
Yeah. And they mention it in the narrative.
Is it, all right. I knew I didn't see the chief's signature, so who writes okay per chief?
Basically, because we spoke with the chief today.
Okay,
Yeah, and he's right here.
all right, is there a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. Okay. Is there any old business by the members?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Brian?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, how about new business?
None, Mr. Chairman.
Nope.
All right. We have correspondence to the board from Val Kovic, who was appointed to the, I'm sorry, this is from John Tehan regarding Clark Valkovic, who's a member of the Milford Renewable Energy Committee. Mr. Tehan has indicated that this gentleman has moved out of town and as such would like to, he's made attempts to get him to officially resign his post, but he's unable to make contact with them. He's asking that the board remove him from the committee without a letter of resignation so that that the board can move on with the search for a suitable replacement.
Are we doing? Mr. Rupica?
All right, Jerry? Okay. I'll make a motion for that.
I will second it.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Thank you, Jerry. Fortunately, you're here. Next, we have two resignations, I'm sorry to say, from the Industrial Development Commission. We have a resignation from Mr. Ronald Jenks from the IDC, and we also have a resignation. Let me get the, from Bill Stairs, from Waters Corporation, from the IDC as well. That's the Industrial Development Commission.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion. He's been on for a long time, done a nice job, so motion to accept with regret.
Okay.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor, accept with regret both of those resignations. The next thing we have is correspondence from Larry Duncan requesting that the board fill Bill Stairs' unexpired term with Mr. Wellesley, who also works at Waters Corporation, and has expressed interest in serving. Is there a motion?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So we'll hold off on that without a motion.
Mr. Chairman, did we do Ronnie Jenks' resignation also?
We did within that.
Okay.
I read them,
Yeah, okay.
mentioned both.
We should send him a letter to it regretting.
Yes.
I will send a letter to both, yes.
Okay. And I'm not timely with this. We did receive in our,
Wait a minute, we're gonna do Gregory?
Yeah, there was one more gentleman who,
We're gonna do Dan Gregory to replace Jenks?
yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
I'll second it.
All right.
I'll move.
I'll move, second. That's unanimous. Mr. Gregory to be appointed to the IDC.
thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, also, can I should have said it earlier.
Okay.
Can we ask Larry to, we've had the core people for several years now. I'd like to see if we could have someone from the bottling plant a representative to the IDC, and also of American National Power. I just think the little difference of types of corporations and all that, so if we can get a couple of added people with some other ideas or something.
Yeah, and one of the suggestions I was going to make towards that end is to also ask if there's anybody interested from the hospital who's a large employer in the area.
I think there's a
I think
Joe
we do have
Posnowski,
one
right? Joe-
representative right now.
Yeah,
Joe's there now.
Yeah, Joe's on there now. He's
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and
I
we
will-
should also refresh ourselves with the talent bank for those that are interested or demonstrated an interest in
Yep.
serving.
Yep.
So
These were
up to you.
these were the only ones for this particular position, yes.
Sounds good. All right. No, just some correspondence that the board had received, and this is a letter from Senator Moore indicating to the Massachusetts School Building Authority that, indicating his support for that project, and ask for their continued support for it as well. We also have communication from Comcast, and they're indicating that they'll continue to provide service to the Milford public buildings, and that the value for that service is $10,548. Is there other correspondence that the board members have like to review?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that I think is of importance is a letter that we received from Town Council regarding progressive discipline for certain liquor license violations. So we should probably entertain that in the near future, you know? Especially as it pertains to a warning and maybe to give something like a one-day suspension, correct, Jerry?
Does the board want to take that up now? Because if you want to come up.
And I think we talked about this
Yeah, we
a
have.
few weeks ago.
I don't think again, that's my suggestion, is that you really develop a policy. You don't have to take it up now.
Okay.
Maybe schedule it on the agenda for your next meeting, because it is important to have that, because the basic thing we lose with these warnings that you give out is the ability to count that as towards discipline. So that's the primary concern, but after that, it can help to have a consistent policy. I suggested something to you, which is, again, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
It could do any combination of that, so I suggest put it on your agenda for your next meeting, see if you can come up with a policy, and then give notice to all the licensees, so that everybody's on notice. In the future, you can
Yeah.
follow the policy.
Okay.
Okay, if you want, I'm going to make a motion that we do that.
Okay, so we'll schedule it for the next meeting?
October 7th, yes.
All right, October 7th. That meeting's already getting busy.
Yeah, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Brian?
Just in reference to the Comcast letter, I see that they're providing free internet service, I guess, to the schools and the library. And I know that Rick has been working with them to try to get internet service to Memorial Hall. Do they provide it to our youth center, do we know? Do we have free internet to the youth center?
I'm going to say we do, but I'm not 100%
Okay.
sure, but I
All
will
right.
check.
Yeah, if you could check on that, and if you could send Frank a letter.
Yep.
And request from this board that it be provided to Memorial Hall and the youth center if it doesn't already exist there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Brian. All right, that concludes the business that we have scheduled during the regular session. Right now, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for purposes of contract. Well,
Motion, sir.
I want to get this.
Grievance.
For the purposes of strategy for collective bargaining session in relation to a clerical union, a grievance by the Milford Police Association, and Town Hall Personnel Collective Bargaining Contract.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded.
All right, I also vote in favor. We'll go with a roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
I also vote affirmative. That's unanimous. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Okay, that's motion.
Seconded.
Second. Okay, that's also unanimous. Good evening. Thank you very much.